who did you meet that taught you something incredible? Anybody?
Betty White. I did a TV series with Betty White and Marie
serious?
Osmond for a year.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Tell me what Betty White told you.
Betty White taught me a lot. I mean, Betty White. So she played my grandmother.
I'm sorry. It's
dude. It's
Betty
White. Golden
awesome.
Girls, Betty White. Like, and I'm on a TV show randomly cast. They saw me at the San Fran Comedy Contest. I was up there with Stanhope, and we were vying for the number one position. And I happened to get a producer who came up and was like, "Hey, we're doing a TV show in Hollywood. Yeah. Have you been there?" I'm like, "No." Yeah. They go, "You come down and take a meeting." Next thing you know, I'm at the Disney lot and going to the Laugh Factory for the very first time and thinking, I'm going to go. This is probably not going to work. And I'm not an LA comic, and I'm probably just going to go back to New York and try to figure out what's next. And instead, they gave me the gig. They were like, "Have you done television?" I said, "No, but I've done like stage. So if you need me to come in like that, if you need me to come in and snap,
yes,
and look, put on a bedazzled."
It's not West Side Story.
Yeah, I was ready to do like summer stock.
Yeah,
but they were like, they worked with me a little bit, even in the first meeting, and they were like, We're gonna give you a shot at this. We need energy on the show. It's a Saturday night 8:30 show. Nobody's watching it.
Yeah.
But Betty White's gonna be my grandmother, and Marie Osmond is my
big part.
Is my mom? Yeah. I was like the fourth lead. Yeah. Craig Ferguson was actually on it before he was even known.
Guy.
So it was like Betty, Marie, Craig, and myself, or whatever, like third or fourth lead.
Yeah, they're trying to get some of that Golden Girls juice back.
It was very different though. It wasn't. No, this was more like coffee shop. Marie Osmond was still very just like. Yeah. It was just very wholesome. That's what it was. Wholesome entertainment. Yeah. And so there I was, day to day, working with Betty. She'd drive onto I remember I'd see her drive into the trailer area in her little yellow Buick. She
drove a Buick?
Yeah, she always drove herself to set.
That's an old lady car.
Yeah, man, like a bright yellow, bees would follow this car. It was so yellow.
Yeah.
And every single day, I would take as much time with her as I could because it was like, not only are you Betty White from Golden Girls and you're one of the funniest people to ever be in situational television, but like you're one of the most entrepreneurial, you are Hollywood, People don't even know the amount of like production and... She was just like a maven. She was a maven.
She produced
so many things. Man, she had like the run that any of us would like dream of having.
Wow.
And so every single day I got to ask her about old Hollywood and new Hollywood and even just like things about acting. One day she came to me and I was doing a scene and I remember I was like, take the coffee mug and come in and I had a big mullet at the time, like hockey player mullet. And I come in and I was like, I'm feeling, and I did this thing and she was like, "Oh, honey, come here for a second." Yeah. Leans in, she grabs me and she goes, "You're indicating." And I was like, what does that even mean? She's like, "Indicating? You don't know indicating?" I was like, "No." And she's like, "Okay." And then she would teach me, do the maneuver, but don't plan that way.
Fucking
no,
cool.
Like the blocking is not
shit like that.
And dude, I was just like, every single time she hugged me at the end of like a rehearsal, it was the greatest hug ever.
Yeah,
it was just, and so I learned so much in that show.
She's helping you become better.
Yeah, and also she had a savage sense of humor. She could say like real funny shit. Like I remember at a table read once where the script wasn't so good, and she goes like this, and the writers were laughing at like what we were saying, and she with her Betty White smile, she leaned in and she goes, "When the writers are laughing like this, we're screwed." I was like, "Are we?" And she probably used another word, but that experience landed me in LA, gave me enough money to live here for a minute. I was living near Barney's Beanery in some like shitty little apartment.
Yeah.
And her belief and her enthusiasm for me when I was like, I don't know if I belong here or should stay out here.
When you made it, did you talk to her again?
I talked to her for years, and then we kind of lost touch. But
did she ever get to say, "Dane, you played Madison Square Garden," or anything like that?
Nothing like that. But she was just so happy that happy. I was happy. It was almost like, I don't care about the venue or the gigs. Are you happy?
Yeah.
Are you happy today? And that's kind of like.
And she kept doing it. She kept playing that role into her 90s.
Dude, she did Proposal with Ryan Reynolds and everybody was hilarious. And then she ended up on a Valerie Bertinelli, like Hot in Cleveland. And she was very funny.
Get on that for a second. Imagine when you're 90. She lived to 99? Yeah. Okay, so imagine Dane Cook in his 90s. And, you can take care of yourself. You'll probably get there. You don't drink, whatever. Would you want to jump in a Ryan Reynolds movie in your 90s? Like, I'm trying to understand that.
Yeah, I want to do this. I want to entertain people.
Yeah, that's
my sole purpose. I feel like
that's
to
awesome.
Just be a transmitter of emotion, and if that's funny, great. And if that's something else, if it's something that doesn't necessarily play to my strength as a comedian, as long as I'm transmitting something with heart and humor, I kind of feel like that's my jam for the rest of my life.
Do you think?
But I'll tell you this: Jerry Lewis. I was buddies with Jerry all the way up until
really.
I was like,
what?
Oh man, like Jerry was like, he called me his son. I mean, I was really close to Jerry.
What?
Yeah. Jerry,
How'd that happen?
Jerry, how did that happen? It's crazy. So
God,
I went and saw.
Life is insane.
I went and saw his documentary. I got invited at one of the lowest moments of my life. I got an invite to Paramount Lot to see Method to the Madness, his documentary about his life. And I was such a fan, but I was in a hole. I was really in really bad, rough shape, a rut.
Why were you in a rut?
It was really right around the time when it was almost like everything, my parents, and I didn't grieve, and then my brother, and I just, charged ahead, and then all the stuff in comedy, and I'd come off of the very first my career, everything was settling, and I did not have any idea how to really converse my feelings at that time. It's like pre-therapy. It's like right in that pocket where it's like, I just didn't know where I was anymore. I didn't know really, I didn't even know who I was looking at in the mirror, because I was like, I'm only a comedian. That's like, that should be the thing I am after all the things you know about yourself. And I really didn't know emotionally how to cope. Yeah. So I go to this thing, and I'm in the 5th row with my good friend Richard. Call him my brother. He's my real brother. He's the brother I should have had, my friend Richard, to this day. Yeah. My first neighbor who, he's the best. Awesome. So I go, Richard, will you go to this thing with me? It's Jerry Lewis. And he's like, he has a very distinct voice. He goes, D, I'll go with you. We're going to go see Jerry. And I'm sitting next to Richard, and we watched this incredible documentary, and Jerry Lewis gets up to the podium at the end, and it's a few thousand people at that theater at the Paramount, and he goes just like this. He gets up there, and Jerry had a surly way about him. He always kind of had
Yeah, he's pissed off. Yeah.
There was something in his tooth, and he was annoyed he couldn't get it before he spoke sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where's Dane Cook? Oh. That's the first thing. Not hi, welcome to the event, evening.
Oh, boy.
And I'm like,
oh, shit.
I turn to Richard, and we look at each other, and then he goes, I want to know where Dane Cook is.
It's such a good impression.
I got to tell you, man, of all the things in my life that made me feel like my head was going to explode, that's up there. Because that voice was saying my name.
Yes, the telethon voice that you would watch every Labor Day.
I'm shaking, and I didn't know what to do.
Yes.
And I went, and I'm usually cool in the pocket, but I was not cool in the pocket here. I went like this. I went, I kind of half, I went like this. I go, Jerry. Like the lamest. I don't stand. The seat kind of comes up, so now I sit back on the top of it, and I kind of don't know how, and I'm doing, and then he goes, you being here means the world to me.
Oh my God.
We love you in my home. And I went I didn't know what to say. I go, Jerry, I love you. And I said, Jerry, I love you.
That's cool.
I just said, Jerry, I love you. He goes, I want to talk to you after. Anyway, pulls me aside at the end of his podium moment.
Yeah.
He ignores everybody. I mean, we're talking big A-list people are there.
Sure.
I won't name names, but you couldn't believe the people that were waiting for him and finally left.
Yeah.
He grabbed me like this, and he pulled me in.
Yeah.
And he started talking about my performance at Madison Square Garden like he saw everything that was happening in my mind and in my body with the precision and the mechanics that only somebody of his caliber would know.
Wow, that's fucking cool.
It was like Yoda. What you did and he was telling me things that I'm freaking out. And he kept his hand there, and we were talking, and people were Richard, my friend, took about 1,000 pictures of me holding court. And he takes my phone number, and every Sunday we talked for years, and I'd go to Vegas, and I'd see him and hang out with him and his birthdays or whatever it was. But the whole point of this story, when you said, like, would I be doing this at whatever, I would see Jerry live. He would still tour and fill theaters. Yeah. And he would always do 35 minutes of his gig with the screens and the typewriter bit and all that, and then he'd do like 20 minutes of Q&A. And that's where the show was, because anybody could ask him a question, and you didn't know what the fuck this man was going to say. And he didn't care what there was no PR, there was nobody. Yeah. It was one woman, it was, Jerry, I just have to say, I saw your film, and I believe it was called The Beach House, and what that film did to me and how that film affected me, I just had to say to this day, Jerry, thank you. Cut to Jerry, he goes, that film sucked and I sucked in it. You're like, what? One night he's 10 minutes into the Q&A. Yeah. And somebody comes out and takes him off stage. And it's the show's short. And this tells me like what my road ahead will be, and probably for every comic and any young comic that's checking this out listening, is like, I go backstage. Danielle, his daughter, who I'm good friends with, says, my dad wants to see you. He's over in the corner. Nobody's allowed near him. And I go over. He looks pissed. And I go, hey, man, is everything all right? And he's 90, I think, at the 89 or 90. And he goes, they lit me 15 minutes early. I had 15 more minutes of Q&A. I was like, Jerry, I don't know if you know this. You ruled the world for 10 straight years. And then everything after, and you're like,
still a tiger.
That's us. That's me. It's going to be like 90 going, I could have done better. There's more in me. And they pulled the plug early.